thank you so much for coming.
Man, it's a pleasure to be on the show.
Thank you, man. I wanted to ask you because when it comes to mentoring, I think a lot of people imagine mentoring as like an exact position that they have for an exact position that somebody wants.
Yeah.
And so the type of mentoring that you all do seems more accessible. Like what goes into the mentoring? What does someone have to be able to do?
Yeah, you know, it's a great question. And here's the thing, right? I think for a long time, our idea of mentorship has been like mentorship on high, right? That you got to be some kind of Jedi master, right? Or, you know, Mr. Miyagi to be able to mentor somebody, when that's not the truth at all. But it's really the myth of mentorship. Mentorship, it's simple, it's accessible, it's connecting. And what's really beautiful about it, and we hear this from our bigs, who are our volunteers in our program, who mentor our littles, who are the young people, we've been doing this for 120 years, right? And we've learned a lot, right? And there are typically two things that are barriers that people will say, hey, why I don't mentor? Number one is time, right? Hey, I'm busy, I got a lot of different things going on. Really, when you talk about mentorship, research shows this, that it takes basically 2 times a month, an hour per visit, right? So you're talking about 2 hours a month can change 2 lives. The young person that you impact, but also yours as well, because you're engaged and you're connected. The other thing is the burden. I'm not perfect, right? I'm nobody's role model. I've been in trouble. I've had all these types of things. No kid is gonna wanna follow me or see me or even understand kind of what my plight in life is like. And that couldn't be further from the truth, right? The idea really is you don't have to be perfect. You just gotta be present, right? Showing up is the power of mentorship. Showing up consistently is the power of mentorship. And we say that to mentors and young people all the time, because what ultimately happens is a mentor gets involved in our program, and what they see is, hey, I want to do it more. And the kid's like, hey, hold up, this is a little much. But the fact is...
Wait. Yeah. So the mentor is like, I want to keep mentoring like 3 hours, and the kid's like, I have to go to school. Like, it's like...
That's right, because it's intoxicating, right? When you're changing a life. But here's the power. The power is you started it, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna help this young person. But then what happens is you figure out that young person's impacting your life, right? You're becoming more empathetic. You're becoming more broad. Your self-esteem is growing. And then the beautiful thing is we see these blended families, right? Strangers who would have never met in any other circumstance, they come together and they create connection. And that connection is what drives what we talk about as the power of mentorship, but it has the power not just to change lives, but it has the power to change communities and ultimately our country.
That's incredible. Yeah. I think it's a fantastic thing that you lay out early that you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be present and everything, because I think that is a true barrier to entry that I think a lot of people have in their minds, is that it's like, I don't feel like an adult. You know what I mean? Like I don't really have it together. But when it comes to the actual mentoring, let's say you sign up to do that hour that week and everything, what do you all actually do? Does it depend on the mentor? Does it depend on what the mentee's looking for? Like what do you actually do when you show up?
Yeah, a lot of it's just hanging out at first, right? Mm-hmm. Because you remember they're strangers, right? So the initial part is just becoming friends, right? So I'm showing up, I'm hanging out, you may be going to see a game, you may be going to an event, you may be going to a shared interest. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't always start off perfectly, right? A lot of times that our mentors get involved, the young person is quiet, they're withdrawn. But then what starts to happen, the more and more they show up, just getting food, just going outside to play, just hanging out and reading a book. But then other things start to happen. And the beauty is what starts to happen is now you learn more about that young person, and then you learn more about shared interests, or you learn about something that's very different, but then you're exposing them. So a lot of our mentors go and they visit colleges together, right? Or a lot of our mentors go and they see, young people see things for the first time. They may have never been away from their block, right? 5 blocks. They've never been away. Now that mentor helps to expose them to something new, right? Careers, interests, hobbies, things that they love and they have passion for, and that's the beauty of mentorship. And then what we also understand about mentorship, which is so powerful, is that when that journey takes place and it happens, we see mentorships. Our program typically is for young people 5 to 25, right? So our fastest growing population is actually 18 to 25 young adults. because we're helping kids to also get into college or make good post-secondary choices. But our relationships last 30, 40 years. One of the beautiful things is that you can be a 30-year-old volunteer and a 10-year-old young person, and that 10-year-old young person, say the volunteer gets married, the young person ends up in their wedding, right, as part of their family. The young person then turns 30, the volunteer is 50, the volunteer is now in the young person's wedding, right? It's the most beautiful and magical thing. But that's the power, not just of mentorship, but who we are as humans. And that's what we have to really get back to, is this idea that the idea of mentorship didn't start with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, or any other organization. It started with humankind. It started with, we started passing down from generation to generation. And at some point, we started to de-escalate on that, the power of what community and connection, and we have to reinvest and recommit to bringing that back.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
In thinking about or speaking on impact, I'm curious, you said the data already shows. Can you give me some examples of what happens in a young person's life who has a mentor versus someone who doesn't?
Yeah. We actually just released a report this week. It's called The Future Built on Mentorship. And it talks about the most important infrastructure that our country needs right now is mentorship and human connection, right? And infrastructure is a really big word, because you think about what bridges, like roads or broadband, but there's another kind of mentorship, and that's social infrastructure, right? The social infrastructure. And social infrastructure is this idea, if you visualize on the map, it's this interconnected highway of everyday people who help people to actually get into places and lives and careers and things that they need. And it's what drives outcomes in their lives and changing their lives. But here's what we know, that the most vulnerable population in our country right now is young people. 1 in 3 kids don't have a positive mentor in their life in this country, right? But we know what mentorship does for their life. So when a kid is mentored, right, and we found this out from 30 years of looking at data and study, kid is mentored, they're 20% more likely to go to college. They generate 15% more earnings across their career, right? They close, if they're in a low-income household, they close the economic gap essentially between them and their more well-off mentor when they grow up. And for every dollar that's invested, it pays back $3 to public benefit, right? So if you're looking at, you want something that's a strong investment, if you're thinking about how you keep kids from being in trouble, because we know that mentorship also keeps kids from being incarcerated. It also keeps kids from substance abuse. It also keeps kids from skipping school. This is a thread for what this country needs, and it's accessible to all of us, right? So that's the power when you're mentored in a program, is that you have this ability to impact a life and change the country by changing one life at a time. And that's not too big. It's not too overwhelming. It's something that we can all do.
Absolutely. In a world that feels like it's crumbling and people always ask what they can do, this seems like the thing that they can be doing. So I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the work that you do. Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
To learn more about Big Brothers, Big Sisters, go to the website below. Artis Stevens.